part of your column is taking a look at the numbers of Matthew Stafford's contract. And again, this deal had you have to pretty much figure that with the Browns taking Myles Garrett off of the holdout board, the Matthew Stafford contract staying with the Rams is the biggest ripple we've seen in the offseason pond here because of where he stayed and the other teams that tried for him and then wound up waiting for Rodgers, just to draw a line, right? Through this whole thing, is quite significant. What did you glean from the numbers of the Matthew Stafford contract that can help inform us here?
It's a compromise, I think. Like that's the way I look at it. At least he could have gotten a lot more money in Vegas. He could have gotten a lot more money in New York. The Giants and Raiders were both willing to go over $50 million a year over the next 2 years to get him and give up the trade compensation to facilitate it. And he chose to take less money to stay in Los Angeles, which was the Rams' bet all along. The Rams felt like going through this, and this was part of it, when they granted him permission to go and talk to other teams, they really felt like he valued being in Southern California. His wife, his 4 kids are rooted there now. And he really valued playing for Sean McVay. And in the end, that bet wound up being the right one. And, as I see this, like football wise, like I think it makes all the sense in the world. And I think the Rams did well enough by him to say, we're not going to go all the way to where the Raiders went or where the Giants were willing to go, but we are going to do something fair that's going to reflect what you've done. And by the way, the interesting thing about this to me is what really opened the door for this is what they did with Aaron Donald 3 years ago. The deal to redo Aaron Donald 3 years ago was borderline unprecedented. They gave Aaron Donald $40 million in additional money without adding any term to his contract. And they've essentially done the same thing here, where they add $26 million to Matthew Stafford's contract without adding any term. And if you do the math on it, it winds up being about the same, $13 million extra per year. So I think that's how you get to the math there. But I think it's the Rams doing something fair for Stafford that doesn't totally blow everything up for them. And then Stafford with, a very real acknowledgement that he wants to finish his career in Los Angeles and playing for Sean McVay.
So do the numbers support that it's a multiple year stay, or are we back in this moment again next year? We had Les Snead on the program last week, and he basically said when the Falcons flipped a 2026 first rounder in their direction at the end of the first round of the 2025 draft, they're like, okay, that's enough to make us move out of the first round this year if, and you can finish the sentence. And he definitely helped finish the sentence saying, we don't know what's going on with Matthew year to year. Right. But I'm sure if Matthew Stafford looks like the Stafford we've seen the last few years, they'd be happy to have him stay multiple years. Right, Albert? I mean, I don't know what the numbers show you. What are the numbers show?
I can give you a couple things on that. Like, number one, I think that this is very much year to year, but I don't think that's anything new. I think that's sort of where they are with Matthew right now and where Matthew is, and he's older and he's had a lot of injuries. He's got his Super Bowl ring. So I don't think Matthew Stafford is going to play into his 40s like a Tom Brady. So it is very much year to year. I think there's an acknowledgement of that. The contract makes that clear too, and that the $40 million in guaranteed for next year. Now the $40 million for this year is locked in and fully guaranteed, but the $40 million for next year, that doesn't vest until the middle of March. So next year they could very well be back in this space again. Number two, I think the interesting thing about what they did in the draft here, to me at least, is to look at the guy they traded down for, a guy they really liked more than people realize, Terrence Ferguson, the tight end from Oregon, sort of filling the role that they've been looking to fill the last couple of years. And that actually will help Matthew Stafford. 2 years ago, I don't know how many people know this, but they tried to trade back into the first round when they didn't have a first round pick to get Dalton Kincaid, who wound up with the Bills. The next year that continues with that big effort to go up and try to get Brock Bowers in the first round. And Ferguson is that sort of tight end. So even though they did trade out of the first round, they wind up with a piece that's going to help Matthew Stafford, and they think is going to help Matthew Stafford right now. So I think it's sort of towing the line between Being responsible in the way you're building your team and being responsible. And we don't know when Matthew Stafford's going to retire, but we got to keep doing the right thing for ourselves long term and adding that first round pick while also getting him the sort of weapon to play with this year that they've been looking for the last couple of years.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.